And welcome on board the RE5 to Wesel. And we are starting here in Cologne Central Station with the Desiro HC. High capacity. It's called BR462, and I call it myself the Distastro, and there's a reason why. So I will fix the Anfrage läuft. Okay, alright. Test is set. Second this, and we are good to go. Closing the door, and we are ready to go. Oh, and we are driving. Oops, that's a little bit fast. Yeah, the Desiro HC. What is so special about it? It's new. It's common now in NRE. Or NRW if you want to do it in English.
Nächster Halt, Köln Hauptbahnhof. Umsteigemöglichkeit zu den Zügen in Richtung Dormagen und Neuss, Düren und Aachen, zur S-Bahn in Richtung Horrem und Köln-Nippes, zur Stadtbahn sowie zum Fernverkehr.
It will correct itself. It's running on GPS and in real life as well. If you sometimes have hit it or something is wrong, it sometimes set it on itself, the passenger information system, because it's running on GPS, as I said already. The Desiro, or I call it Distastro. What is so special about it? It's new. It smells new. The new one smells. And it's got carpet on in the passenger rooms. And it has reading lamps, or reading lights for every place, and you can switch on to read your book if you don't have a neighbor. That's really useful, I don't know. I have no idea, absolutely. So, here, that's the correct one.
Nächster Halt, Köln-Messe Deutz. Umsteigemöglichkeit zu den Zügen in Richtung Overath, Troisdorf und Neuwied, zur S-Bahn in Richtung Köln-Bonn Flughafen und Troisdorf, zur Stadtbahn sowie zum Fernverkehr.
Yeah, it has the Desiro HC has a lot of features. In real life, the passenger information system is kind of, I would say it carefully, not the innovation you expected from a modern train. It has an, you can see it slightly here on the left, it has a wheel to set some things up. But to be honest, that's not really the innovation is not really the best example for this one here. About itself from driving part, let's say it's slightly better than other multiple units from the driving style. If you take this one, you have the usual throttle stick with throttle stick brake combined, dynamic brake including, and with the blending from with air if you want to apply more brake force onto the units. The Distastro itself, it has a pantograph, well, two of them, at least two pantographs. And the funny thing is, they're working not because you can set them, you can actually set them, you can trick them a little bit in this case, but you shouldn't do it. No, they go up and down with even and uneven days. That means if you have one day like the 2nd of the month, like 2nd December or December 2, then you have one pantograph going up, and if you have then an uneven day like the 3rd, then the other pantograph goes up. Why is that? Because it's pretty simple to reduce the maintenance cost. And actually the PCB in this unit is slightly different. It reacts relatively slow and delayed. Also, the PCB magnet of the vehicle is slightly forward in the front of the bogie instead in the middle. Which means if you are used to on trains or units with much, let's say, yeah, more behind the bogie or in the bogie or with large bogies, or even running a diesel locomotive most of the times, it can happen you get a break from the PCB because, yeah, you put it too short or not in time. Itself, you have the usual here, you have called it a CCD on the left where the speedometer is. The CCD is called a shortcut command and control display. Pretty simple. On the right side you have the diagnosis terminal. It's called BUD, Bedien und Diagnose. I call it myself a simple body system. It's really funny. I call it body, and I call it the hated body sometimes because if you see something on this shining, flagging, yeah, you actually don't want to see something shining up on this display. For what are those letters here on the top, A, B, and C? Which actually are pretty simple. Those are the malfunctions you have. Malfunction A is A class. A class means your operation is hard limited. That means it's even as close to the train has to go out of service or is not working properly in any way. Happens sometimes if there's a malfunction. If the diagnosis system is detecting even a malfunction. That's the next thing. About B limits you only slightly. In some cases, like let's say a broken toilet or something, sometimes is showing up. And C is something which is just something which limits the comfort of the passengers.
Nächster Halt: Köln-Mülheim. Umsteigemöglichkeit zu den Zügen in Richtung Solingen und Wuppertal, zur S-Bahn in Richtung Bergisch Gladbach sowie zur Stadtbahn.
And if you actually want to use the real voice, you can, by the way, go to the website. It's called LinguaTech, and there costs 400 euros or something like that, and you can do your own passenger information system with it if you want to, because it's the same voice, sadly. Are there any negative aspects of this unit? Well, from the handling as a driver, it could be slightly better in some cases. Let's say like here from the BRD, from the body system here, from our Bedienen und Diagnose terminal. Yeah, the cruise control in this system, they put it up here. V-Regelung, that's the cruise control system of the Desiro. I don't know who came up with the idea to put the cruise control system into a touchscreen instead of a physical switch. That's behind my understanding. Because if you have a problem with it, then you are clicking like this and you are going really distracted in this case, then yeah, not really useful. Itself, I must say, in one of the positive aspects of the Desiro, as an example, it has a short power up term. It uses around 4,400 kilowatt around this value for a short time, and then goes back to 3,600 kilowatt. It powers it up slightly nice. There's also a little feature which is relatively power saving. This unit, if you are only coasting with zero power, that means with driving without applying power, or only slightly more, or you require only slightly more power. Then you can actually this train normally disables of those engines. You have in this case here, as you can see, 4 of them. It disables 2 of them. You have only half of the engines, but it disables only to power save. As long as you don't need power to speed up or go for acceleration, it will actually prevent this in this case. Will disable those engines to not run on full power if it's not necessary. That's something positive about it, about this unit. And as I said already, here with the pantographs, 2 are up, and if you can slightly trick it. There's a slight trick to force the auto pantograph to go up, but yeah, well. About the brake settings are the usual brake settings, as always. You got emergency override brake, the emergency brake override system, as always. You get actually a relative nice and easy brake system. It's even showing what you do, what you should do. Apply a disc brake, apply full service, apply emergency brake, blah blah blah. It's not definitely that difficult. Yeah, there's also, if you see it here, I can show it here. Modus Bremse. Sadly, it's not possible to enable it here. In Modus Bremse, in the brake mode modification, there's a possibility to activate a proportionaler Betrieb, as it's called in German. It's pretty easy actually and pretty nice. If you have slippery rails and like rain or snow or ice or whatever's on the tracks, you can activate it, and then the blending of the brakes goes more into the air brake, uses more air, and you have more brake force, because air is on slippery rails much better than just simple dynamic brake. And that's what you have with the Proportionalbetrieb in this case, a proportional brake service. Let's call it like that. That sounds much better. Yeah, sadly, I don't know why they didn't install LCB on those units. I don't know why, because actually they use a lot of, they are running on many LCB routes, like Duisburg, Düsseldorf, Aachen, Köln, even the RE11 to Kassel, Wilhelmshöhe is even using LCB over Paderborn. It's sad, I don't know why, I don't know, because it's the reason for some cost savings, but yeah, well, who knows. Yeah, and actually, one of the stupid things about this one again is that there's a slight problem with the lights. The lights in front of those, it kindly reminds me always about the Cylon fighter, that unit. If you watch the front and watch Battlestar, you will see the Cylon fighter. I don't know if someone else sees it, but I see it.
Nächster Halt Leverkusen Mitte. Umsteigemöglichkeit zur S-Bahn in Richtung Langenfeld.
Yeah. Actually, one another nice thing about the Desiro HC is the door system. Previously, you had in the most units to lock if the door is damaged and you have a problem with the door and have to lock it somehow because you don't want to have passengers running into the door. You had to manually lock the door with a key. And that was a slight problem in this case because you had every time to run to the door, then you have to disable it, then you have to lock it, put a sticker on it. The sticker you must put on it. That's still something you have to do it, but you don't actually mechanically lock the door anymore. You can just put here, use the display, click the door, and yeah, voila, the door is locked from the terminal. You don't have to anymore run there if something happens or is crashing or whatever is going to happen. As long the door is mechanically alright, that's another thing to understand. If the mechanical parts of the door are broken, then you can do what you want, you will not go anywhere. So, one of the other nice things about the Desiro HC, you have on the sides even a CFA button. You can still look out of the window and use the CFA button if you have a problem or if you want to take a look for a second outside of your out of the window because you have a slight problem or you're shunting or something like this. I don't know if you can see this here. I don't think if they programmed it into it. We will see, we will see. Actually, I'm not even sure if they have the program though. I don't think so. Yeah, about the cabin, as I said already, the lights don't have a high beam. If you use the switch here, and that's not a high beam, that's just you can flash with those lights. Why I didn't install a high beam, because actually the passenger information system in the front is even brighter than the lights sometimes. If you drive under the dark bridges or Düsseldorf airport is a nice example. It's a very long tunnel. And there you can even see how bright this passenger information display shines. And it shines really bright. Yeah, about the doors, as I said already. MS Dome, by the way, is another technical magical boogie-doo what you can use. If you approach a platform which is kind of too short because reasons construction or whatever, You can, by the way, lock easily lock with this touch, with this function. Just the door from behind. That means you click on one door, then you go up, and then it locks every door which you have touched on the start and at the end. That means you can easily from the cabin lock the doors without a problem. Yeah, some units had this already, like the Talent 2. There you had this little switch to switch you can turn in to one door, last door, to the first door, last door on both. That was an example by the Talent 2. Here it's even more precisely. You can lock the door as much as you want. You can, if you can use it, you can use the signal door, this door, this door, this door. Findertone is pretty simple. Findertone is also pretty simple. Findertone is the beep, beep, beep. That's for the blind people to find the unit. A slight problem, I think. I had even funny fingers. Sometimes complain from a blind man. He said that the arm was too loud for him. It was kind of funny. The rest is self-explaining. Lights, Leitungsentleerung. Leitungsentleerung is to is to empty the toilet waters. If you have a minus degree from possible frozen weather, then you have to empty the tanks of the toilets. If you don't, they burst. The pipes will burst. The water storage can burst. Unhealthy. And Brandmeldung is self-explaining. You are testing this every time. The test goes relatively fast, and yeah, that's it. The camera system, sadly you cannot here use it. The camera system, you have a display on the left, and then you can actually control if you don't drive, if you stand still, the passenger rooms, what is happening there. It's pretty simple. And the last one, the most helpful or not helpful tab in this thing is here for malfunctions. And as I said already, A is you can go home, B is well, try it, and C is ignore it, or ignore and let's say report and ignore it. Or maybe you can help it a bit, but that's not much sometimes. Yeah. Netzsturm. When will be possible? And by the way, yes, you can, by the way, brake with the air. I will try it in this case. I don't know if this is working. Okay, the sound is a bit too extreme. Oh, that's not what I wanted. It goes in full emergency brake somehow. That's also not realistic, because this brake doesn't have an emergency brake position. You can only apply a little bit of air with it. Let's say you can apply and brakes with it to full service, and then yeah. Emergency brake position, it doesn't have one. Sie fahr. Did I just disable? Oh yeah. Hop. Dong dong. Hit accidentally with a Hauptschalter, the main circuit breaker. Dun, dun, dun. By the way, you can remove this, this toy. Yeah, I call it always toy. You can remove it and put it away if you want to. It was actually planned, but then.
Nächster Halt, Düsseldorf, Benrath.
So one thing it is, which is also included in this unit is a central opening. That's here, the button completely on the right. You can actually open the doors completely from your cab. That means you can open the door and keep the doors open and blah 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 blah. A little bit forward.
Sifa.
I love this. Sifa. And how many minutes we are late? 2 minutes. Oopsie! That comes if you play with it too much. No, the buttons here on the left are self-explaining. Min circuit breaker, PCB doors, and send. Here's the send button. Yeah, and the reverser. There's, by the way, an extra switch in this case. Instead of some kind of switch to turn or something, they decided to put it there. I don't know why. I have no idea sometimes why they constructed this this unit. My little resume in this case is it is in the right direction, but could be much better. It would be necessary to install another passenger information system, or maybe include it into the body system, well, which I don't understand why they didn't develop another one. I don't know actually why they didn't. The 3 buttons here are for the gap closer, and for the gaps you can move it slightly and then you can move it fully and blah, but I have never seen it using it. Actually don't know where actually I have to use it, but it's not my problem. Yeah, by the way, there's also a possibility to enable in the BOD and body display in the body or in the display here on the right. You can actually enable a cleaning modus, and then it will disable the touchscreen for I think 30 or 40 seconds. Was around that, and then you can clean it. It's really nice actually. At least you can clean it without accidentally pulling off something. Equipment all together over the electrical and pneumatic equipment spread over the entire unit, and the brake equipment for the first and the last part of the first and the last cars are beneath those beneath the first and last car. Actually, something another thing I don't understand. They call it and I call one that call it what was again AZDB unit. Yeah, that's like this. This was it's another thing I don't understand. Why they call it like this? They start with A, then go with D, with C, then D, and then B. As I said already, I don't understand anything of that. Why this? And sometimes I'm thinking, standing in front of the drawing board and thinking about, I have to put something new on it. And there are sometimes I have the feeling dropping some kind of coin to show, for naming some devices. Today I will call it auxiliary converter. Talent to win this one, and the next moment flip the coin again, and now it's Hilfsbetriebumrichter again. What? Gordon Ramsay, what you will? Do you smoke cigarettes And that's actually sometimes really weird. Another good thing, by the way, about this unit is the air condition for the passenger room. I know there were some malfunctions with it. It's sadly something you cannot stop. It happens sometimes. But actually it's really good. You have there some kind of measurement system inside, and even have the measurement if you have too many passengers inside. Certain amount of passengers, there is a measure system which controls the air quality of the passenger room, and by too many passengers it will enable some kind of flaps inside of the air condition of the climate, or let's say heater, climate, air conditioning device, blah blah blah, and will open it up for more fresh air, the flaps, and you got more fresh air into the passenger room. Possible way to avoid some getting sick or something, because if you see it, you feel it like in a bus. If you have too many passengers in the bus, most likely the problem will be with the bus. Yeah, you will get feel like you're floating with a boat or something, and then vomit all over the place.
Nächster Halt: Düsseldorf Hauptbahnhof. Umsteigemöglichkeit zu den Zügen in Richtung Wuppertal, zur S-Bahn in Richtung Mettmann und Karst, Kettwig, Solingen und Neuss, Mönchengladbach und Düsseldorf Flughafen Terminal, zur Stadtbahn sowie zum Fernverkehr.
Forgive me for that, I have since. Why this? Because I brought you train with 2 minutes. I wanted to play with the error again. As I said already, this thing doesn't have an emergency brake position. I don't know where to get it from. Actually, if you take it like this, the Desiro HC is easy to drive. As long as it's working, it's pretty much the easiest. I think the easiest unit which you can have. But that is another thing. Oh, that would be easy. Okay. And that was it again. I'll slide a few informations for you for the Desiro HC. And I guess until next time then.